We can see you. Okay, perfect. Oh, we've been live for 20 seconds. Now I'm
I
like
didn't say
reflecting.
anything bad.
Did we say anything bad?
I don't think we did.
No. And typically all of the most crass things that I would say behind the scenes, I would most certainly say in public. That
Pretty much me too.
that actually held my career back a while. So prior to being a mindset coach or mind mechanic, as I call myself, I was in the dating and relationship space. And I had a joint venture partner that ran like a singles event, like conglomerate. Like they had 400,000 people on their list. They had 40,000 paying members. And he was like, Spencer, he's like, I love you. He's like, I love your message. We need a personality. And like, I want to bring you to my group, but he's like, your language is just too colorful. and I was and I was much younger back then. I was like, don't try to censor me, you know? And so I missed out on a rock solid 500,000 people seeing hearing my message. In retrospect, I would have tightened it up a little bit.
He tried to dull your sparkle though,
I,
or whatever that is.
and
That's
that is
crazy.
that and that's the thing about coaching is like there are no rules about
Yeah.
coaching. So plus side, you get to do whatever you want. Downside, like trying to create something that works, since there are no standard protocols for it, it's really, really difficult. And
Yeah.
actually, that's a great segue for us getting into our conversation today. So everyone in the identity imprinting group, this is my friend Marianne, and
Hi.
my mom says yes, it was. She remembers that vividly when I had that opportunity. And I know that
Aw.
I'm gonna tag someone here. I'm gonna tag Alvin in here. But I'm here with my friend
Oh, here we go.
Marianne, and Marianne is currently a therapist. Now I always know as like psychologist, therapist, counselor. What do you go by?
So my official title is I'm a licensed clinical social worker. So I have a
Ah,
master's degree in social work.
okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And recently, you have decided to make the jump into coaching, which it sounds like it's similar, but it is absolutely a totally different game as it pertains to how you run your business, how you market yourself, who you speak to, and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know, and the reason I was excited to have
Oops,
us,
sorry.
oh,
Sorry.
I was like, is
That
that
was
me?
that was my bad. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Go ahead.
Um, live cast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It happens.
I just want to see who's on.
And one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on here because I know a lot of the members of the identity imprinting group are coaches, are teachers, and are people that are artists or actors
Mhm.
that are looking to break into a new market, break into the industry that they're super passionate about. And a lot of times that is done through making a jump from what you know, what is safe, what has been giving you security. And it's really difficult to be in a job that supports you but doesn't fulfill you, and like actually living in your passion and the elements that are required in order to make that jump are it's complicated and it's terrifying. And you are just such an example of the way a person should show up in order to make that transition. And that's why I was so excited to have you here on in our group today.
Thank you. That's really sweet. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a ride. Woo. Like you would think I'm a therapist. I've been a therapist and social worker I've been a social worker professionally for 25 years. I've been doing clinical counseling and psychotherapy for about 15 years.
Mm,
And you would think like coaching is well, I mean, you would think coaching is really similar, and in a lot of ways it is. But in so many ways, I have been really shocked this year about how different it actually is.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
I found that coaching is a lot more intimate than counseling. I've been both coached. I've also had therapists and counselors, and I've worked with all different types of mentors. And I found that the difference is like with a coach, you usually have like Voxer access. You've got like you've
Hmm.
got group support with other people that are striving for the same thing. Whereas with a therapist, you kind of don't share your own experiences and your own
Mm-mm.
stories and your own struggles, and I really feel like that drops the level of intimacy between you and your client.
So that's that's one thing that really for me has led to a lot of burnout.
Mm,
So we really are trained to be in a lot of ways blank slates. We really, people aren't. I work only with women actually now. It wasn't always that way, but now I do. I've really niched down. It's really not appropriate, right? Like, and
mm,
it's like this weird sort of dance where I'm a pretty open person, so it's hard for me after 8 clients a day to kind of just take in and help in that way. I mean, I love what I do. But it becomes a lot because I'm just kind of taking in. Nothing's being sort of
mm,
expended of it. Professionally it is, but it's not. It's a weird relationship. It's a professional relationship that is also in some ways very personal, but like you're saying, it's also very kind of one-sided.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've gotten this piece of advice from coaches and from, well, yeah, from like other coaches as I'm in the coaching community, and they tell me that I share too much with my clients, like that I shouldn't share my struggles, or I shouldn't share, the areas where my monsters trip me up, and I mean, I've been coaching for 20 years. I've been coaching since I was 16, and what I have found to be true, at least in my experience, is that there's so much to learn by watching someone struggle. I remember
Hmm.
working with my buddy Brandon, who started off as a client, and I said, if you think that you're going to learn a lot from like the successes that I've had in life, wait till you learn while you watch me go through something super difficult, because life is the art of gracefully struggling. And a lot of times when you're receiving information or guidance from someone that you think is this like untouchable character that doesn't
Hmm.
struggle, it sets a false expectation of truly what you can expect out of yourself. And I found that when you create that intimacy by sharing like what you're going through and what you're doing about it to come out on the other side, it really makes them feel understood.
Hmm. Absolutely. And for me, content like story posts, um, talking about my struggles. I certainly have had a lot, just like all of us have. How I've overcome them, how I've dealt with them. That's not the therapist way.
Right.
That is not what we're supposed to do. And we have, ethical guidelines we have to follow. We have legal guidelines we have to follow, and they're there for good reason.
Mm.
But for me, I turned 50 last year, and I've had a private practice for 11 years. And I just am ready to make a bigger impact. And honestly, a lot of what I do is coaching anyway.
Right.
Um, I do a lot of other stuff too, but a lot of what I do is coaching in my therapy sessions. So in some ways it's very aligned. In other ways it's super liberating for me to come out and say, look, like this is me, this is what I've gone through, because my therapy clients there really is a power imbalance or power
Mm.
differential. I've been in therapy many times in my life, and I do tend to see my therapist as like perfect,
Right.
and I want to emulate them. And it's just the way the relationship is. The coaching
Hmm.
relationship is like that somewhat, I think, but it's not the same. It's, it's different.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about this transition that you're making, because me and you met at the Tribe of Byers event
Hmm.
about, was it like 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, something.
September.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, this is
Um,
October. Oh my God, I don't know. I'm in a time warp.
Yeah, I know, especially towards the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
And when you shared with me your mission, and you were kind of like explaining to me who you want to serve, and stuff, and we were talking about messaging, and one of the ways that I kind of like encapsulated it in my head is that you work with female entrepreneurs that, according to like the external world, they have it all, but deep down they secretly struggle. And
Mhm.
and that just resonated with me so much, which is what made me really super passionate about your mission, is because a lot of times when you're in a position of authority, or you're in that position of superwoman or supermom, it goes for men as well,
Mhm.
that when you do struggle, if you like, you need to reach out to someone to talk about it. Like we're designed for a community and to support each other. But if you do, then your identity in their eyes starts to crumble. So you have this battle between, do I uphold this persona that gives me respect, or do I get the support that I need? And you feel like you need to choose between the two. And a lot of the times, both men and women choose silence to maintain that persona. And then what it ends up doing is just, it starts rotting inside of you, because as we
Yeah.
talk about in this group, your monsters deserve a voice. They don't
Mhm.
go away because they're a part of you. It's like trying to get rid of a body part. Like
Yep.
it's
Yep.
essential. You need it,
100%. Yep.
right? And so that's what made me super passionate about your mission. And we actually started working together a couple months ago, and in supporting you in building this and taking this leap has been, first of all, it's been a ton of fun. And I love supporting
You
people
sure
that,
about that?
well, I mean, we have our moments. It's a lot of Voxers, but you know how much I love Voxer. You know what I mean? Okay, that's one of the things too that like my coaching peers tell me is like, no, don't give everyone Voxer access. I love Voxer. Like it's the easiest way to give ongoing support, right? And because you can
Yeah,
listen to it at 3 times speed.
I like it too. Yeah.
So tell me what inspired you to make that jump? Because leaving a practice of 11 years is a big freaking deal.
Yeah, it is a huge deal. I worked really hard to build my practice, and it took its own journey from, taking insurance to dropping insurance, and just there's been a lot. It really has, my practice has been good to me. Um
Mm,
and it really is leaving a lot of stability to do this. Um, a couple things were going on sort of at the same time. First of all, the suicide rates in our country are skyrocketing,
yeah.
and people are literally dying in silence, not because they want to die, but because they don't want to feel like this anymore.
Hmm.
And not to be a downer, but that this is what's happening. Very successful people too. Not, these are people who, like Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, and he was pretty public about some of his struggles, but there's so many people just really suffering and feeling like they have to pretend like everything's great, everything's cool. And I see this in my practice over and over again. I just happen to see women, but I know men struggle with this too. And we just like go out there and put a smile on our face, and feel like that's what's expected of us, and secretly we're just really anxious and depressed, and feel like, if we share that, we're somehow weak or giving up control, or a lot of people don't even like to feel their feelings. And so working one-on-one with women has been really powerful for me, and nothing like warms my heart more than actually help guiding a woman through the journey to releasing all that, and inviting their monsters. Really, that's like parts work, right? What you're talking about,
Right.
like we all have different parts that are there, that are telling us something. So I've worked the one-on-one model for a really long time, and I really want to have a bigger impact, on a positive impact on people struggling with mental health issues. And actually, like, I think technology really has isolated us even more, and online entrepreneurs are pretty isolated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've worked with a few online entrepreneurs in my practice, and I started seeing like kind of the same stuff. And more isolation equals more depression, equals more anxiety, the roller coaster. And going back to actually my childhood, I am one of my really sort of causes near and dear to my heart is women's financial independence, empowerment. I started my career actually working at a domestic violence shelter,
Mm.
and it was horrible. I mean, it's just horrible. But anyway, um, so I wanted to make a much bigger impact on more people, and I'm getting older. I'm getting older, so that happens when you get older. You turn around like, wow, okay, I've got a good 30 years, 30, 40 years. I don't mean to be like macabre or anything, but I want to have a bigger impact. I want to help more women become financially stable, more, make more money, have a bigger impact. I want to align myself with women who want to do good things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, this year I've been very intentional about meeting people outside of the therapy world to help me do that in a way that makes sense to me. So,
Yeah. And
yeah,
one of the things that you had shared with me too is just the power of the group.
yeah.
It's super interesting, like when in your
There's
coaching
Andrew.
your coaching model, you've got like a course, and then you've got your group, and then you've got one-on-one. And a lot of people feel like one-on-one is like where you get the most value.
Mm-hmm,
And having done one-on-one coaching both as a coach and as a student, and group
mm-hmm,
coaching, I
mm-hmm,
find that groups are more powerful. It's so useful to see someone who aspires to have a similar impact that you do, and to see their journey from an outside perspective, because it reflects so much on what you're going through, and it shines light on some things that you may not have seen before. In addition to that, like, the value of a group is like when one person suffers and overcomes, everybody learns. And that is that's a way to make your growth exponential, because to learn a lesson, someone's got to suffer. Right, someone's got to do it. And if one person can serve the wisdom of the entire group, that's what strengthens the group. That's what makes the coaching, or that's a big element of what makes the coaching so powerful. And that was one of the things that you shared with me that was super important to you. And you
yeah.
just actually opened up your Facebook group, which, by the way, I left a link down below.
Oh, thanks.
And so, yeah, for the female entrepreneurs out there, like, go visit that group. Marianne is a fantastic curator, very highly engaged. I love all of the gifts that that
Yeah, I'm
you
a
leave
gift
on.
crazy.
It inspired
So
me to
many
put
gifts.
the gif in like the promotional post that I did there. So
And I loved it. That's good.
what is the biggest challenge that you found, like, well, I guess emotionally and strategic, from making that jump?
Um, well, I am a recovering perfectionist, which is one of the things that I want to help women sort of get through. So that's been a struggle. So my perfectionism shows up in a lot of self-doubt. Behaviorally, it can show up in like procrastinating, um, psychologically kind of spinning. I call it like the confusion tornado.
Mhm.
There's a lot out there in the online space to buy, to do courses. I finally, I started buying all the things right
Mhm.
in the beginning. And I realized I've spent all this money. I'm not finishing these courses. They're okay, but, eh. And so I think it was just kind of learning what to pick and choose to invest in has taken a while. Um, Also, like life is still going on, right? So I still have had to keep my very busy practice going, and it's all me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
solo practitioner, which means I do have to do, well, obviously I have to do all my notes, I have to do all my billing and all the whatever. It's a lot. And work on this other thing. So I had to really figure out some time management systems that would allow me to really focus on sort of one aspect of what I was doing at a time.
Mm.
So I kind of condensed my therapy schedule to like 3 days a week. I have a couple stragglers on Friday, but that really helped me sort of focus. So having chunks of time, because it wasn't working, I was like going insane. Plus, I have my kids are older, but I have kids. I have a family, like we all do, and I can't do all the things. So I think it has been really challenging to be more mindful of what I'm choosing to invest in to help me with this transition,
Mm.
and really learning what I needed, what my needs were, and how I'm going to get them. Which, by the way, if anybody out there is listening or trying to do this on their own, you're going to fail. I mean, I don't know. I'm a pretty straight shooter sometimes. I mean, you're not going to be able to do it. You can't. You just can't. You
Mm-hmm.
need people who know, who are in like sort of above you, who have done it, who know what it takes, and people who you feel. For me, this is important. I feel really sort of ethically aligned with,
Mm.
um, and to join with those people. Like, our tribe is a very giving one,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really important to me. Like to connect with people who can help you, who also share the same values that you do.
Yeah. So a few
I'm a
things,
social worker, so
to unpack here. So one of the things I heard you say was the perfectionism,
yeah.
which we've discussed, a little bit of that. And I find that in keep in mind, I'm not, on the sidelines, saying what I'm seeing. Like I'm in the same game of perfectionism. And I found that perfectionism is the fear of failure cloaked in a high value of excellence. So like
Sure.
we deem it to be this high value of excellence when secretly it's just like, what if people think I suck? Right.
Sure.
and,
Yeah.
and especially in this day and age, of how fast things move, it's important to fail fast, fail early, build the plane while it's flying, and get up your MVP, your minimum viable product. And so
Yeah.
this goes for anything. If you're building a business, if you're an actor trying to break into the industry, just start going on something. Like, and I know a lot of people that want to get their face out there. They're like, oh, I don't have fancy equipment, I don't have a nice
Hmm.
mic, I don't have
Hmm.
that. Like my entire new course, which I'll be telling everyone about tomorrow, was shot entirely on my phone, even though I have a fancy DSLR camera, just because of just the speed of
Yeah.
how fast I can get things up. So that was the perfectionist part. The next part was, what to invest in. I see. So there are a number of like levels of motivated people, and there is a certain level of people where they'll invest in something, and that will actually satisfy the feeling inside that they need to accomplish something. And so then they take their foot off the gas. Well, I invested in this program, and then they never even watch it. Like they
Hmm.
never even go through the modules, or they don't show up to the calls and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that that's, you didn't show up to the calls, because you always show up. But that happens to a lot of people. And then the next thing that you said was time management. And time management, it's an interesting term. I more so see it as focus management. And like, where do I put my focus and how do I maintain that focus? Because as you're building a career, especially if you're breaking into a new industry, there are the strategy of getting it done is dynamic. There's a bunch of different things to do, but then it's like, what's the sequence? What, how soon do I roll this out? How soon do I start my Facebook group? How soon do we launch? When do I build a program? And that goes for every type of new industry that you're trying to get into.
Mm-hmm.
There is sequence, and it's really difficult to decipher like when to do what, which is why, to your next point, is like, don't do it alone. Like, have a community that you work with, or an individual coach. I know that you're part of Andrew's Authority Accelerator. Me and you work personally one-on-one together. I'm a part of Congruent Coach. I coach for them, but I also like receive coaching from them,
Mm-hmm.
part of the Seven Figure CEO Accelerator program. Because you're absolutely right. If you want to up level, it is so valuable to model someone that you are in alignment with, which was the last thing that you said, is making sure that it's an energetic match. So it's not only do they have a business that you respect, because it doesn't have to be the same. It just has to be something that you respect in the same general field. And making sure that like you really have a connection with that person, which is why in the coaching industry, and this is the way that I do it. Before I work with anyone, before I give anyone my personal attention on a consistent basis, we have a strategy call where we talk for 90 minutes. Sometimes it's up to 3 hours, where we're really digging deep as to what is that big vision of yours? What are those things standing in the way? And are we a good fit? Like, do we feel like this is going to jive? Because if that isn't aligned, you can have all of the right answers, but if you have the right answers, but you're not energetically aligned with that person, the implementation, the accountability, the willingness to show up vulnerable, the willingness to share your struggles becomes weak, and that will dismantle even the most perfect laid out strategy.
Yeah, it is so important to this kind of when you're talking about this, I'm thinking of sales and marketing,
Mm-hmm.
actually, because when you're doing those calls, just like when I do my calls before I take on a client, when I was doing therapy where I worked for other people, I'd just be assigned whoever, like it was just the
Yeah,
name with
right.
and like, hi, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important. My ability, even in therapy, the outcome is directly related to the quality of the rapport with the client.
Oh, so good. So
That is,
good.
that research shows that. It's so interesting. No matter, I could know, like, I could be trained and have 10 million certifications, and
Mm-hmm.
there are so many different theoretical approaches to psychotherapy out there. I could know all of them and be amazing in all of them, but what it boils down to is the energy match between the therapist and also the coach and
Right.
the client. So when you're doing those sales calls, like, you're interviewing them as much
Oh yeah.
as they're interviewing you. And you will see, and I've learned this over this past year, it's really similar in the therapy world, is the best coaches have coaches.
Oh, for sure. For
Yeah. And I
sure.
think a lot of people don't realize that, though.
Yeah, that's such a good point. So, as I share with you, I do coaching for the Congruent Coach Collective with Alex Moscow, who has a super successful 7-figure business. And I mean, I think last year they definitely spent over 6 figures joining other coaching communities that just help you level up. Because that's what it's
Yeah.
about. It's cracking the whip of taking of a coach taking someone that's struggling with something and pulling them up, so then that person then can pull up the next person. And then as the coach who is helping all of the pull up all these people, there's got to be someone up there that's pulling you up, because like
Absolutely. Yeah.
we're all in this together, and no matter what your
Yep.
big vision is, we're all looking to do the same thing, which is just level up. And as long as it's happening, you know, even if it's slow, as long as it's happening, then it's working. But like I love what you said, is like the rapport is the thing that matters. And you know, through my 20 years of coaching, you know, I've coached everything from sales to business development to breaking into industries, to dating and relationships, and coaching. And a running theme that I've shared amongst all of those different kind of niches is that the most useful skill is the ability to get someone to like you and give a shit about what you care about. And the way that you do that is by giving a shit about what they care about. And there's a bunch of other strategies around that. You guys can leave comments below if you want me to do a video on that. But it is, people work with the people that they like the most, not the most qualified.
Right.
And so the rapport is absolutely, you know, first and foremost. Like you said, you can have 100 certifications, but if they don't feel like they know, like, and trust you, and,
Hmm.
and and they don't feel like you actually care about them, then all of that is just information. And
Yeah.
information's free. It's all on Google. Go, you know,
Ex-
just look it up.
e- exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Aw-
So yeah, this was a
awesome.
really good conversation, I think.
So you just started your Facebook group, and
Yeah.
you're
I'm so
taking
excited.
a few weeks off of doing you know, social work, you know,
Yes.
your
My
current job.
close my practice for
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, which is so exciting. And you started your Facebook group, and even though I am not a successful female entrepreneur, I do have access to the group. And I love the engagement that you have in it so far. I'm looking it up right here.
I cannot tell you how this is so fun for me. Like
Yeah,
it's technically it's work, but it does not feel like work. That's when you know you're in your sweet spot, right? Like
yeah.
I love meeting these women. There are some awesome women in this group. They're like talking to each other and helping each other. Leveraging relationships is so key and important. Like no one person can know everything. We're
Mm-hmm.
all just like six, they're the 6 degrees of separation thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we I might know 10 people that are a good fit for. I'm a natural connector anyway and
Mm-hmm.
supporter. I love doing that. So I'm like so excited to engage with them and talk to them and find out all the things about them. And yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, so let's talk about the you know, step one is like building a community, and then, you know, step two is creating some type of offer to work with people on a deeper level. Are you
Mhm.
thinking of doing like a group coaching model? Are you thinking of a program? Are you thinking of one-on-one? What are you kind of feeling like your vehicles are going to be for like the deeper work that you're going to do?
Oh, I'm so excited to do group coaching
Mm,
and masterminds and in-person retreats in
awesome,
Mexico
awesome. I did an
or Costa
in-person
Rica.
retreat in Isla Mujeres, which is an island
Yeah.
just off
Yeah.
of
I love it
Cancun.
there. Yeah, I love
You've been there?
Cancun. I love Cancun and I've been
Oh,
to Isla Mujeres. Yeah.
it was beautiful. We rented this 8-bedroom mansion. You know,
Yeah.
I was there with, like, you know, 12 of my closest clients, and we were there.
Oh my
We did
God.
an 8-day retreat there, and it was incredible. And we did some like really really deep precise language shadow work. And one of the guys that we worked with had trouble sleeping, had trouble eating. He was smoking, and he was stuttering. And after it was like an 8-hour session of precise language. All that stuff went away the next day. It was absolutely incredible. And
That's
so like
awesome.
that like the one-on-one like retreats and stuff. And I'm seeing my homie Matthew Cook here. I'm so sad I didn't get to go to your retreats. And I still have to listen to your Voxer, buddy. It's been a full 2 days. I will listen to it immediately after this. And it's just so impactful. And I love the combination of like online video type stuff like this in Facebook groups like yours and like our identity imprinting group here, and combined with like the intimacy of one-on-one immersive work. It's just so exciting how technology and cheap flights
Yeah.
really used properly can really build really deep connections and give ongoing support.
Yes.
Like 20 years ago, we didn't have this.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. When that experience, when you meet somebody in person that you've been working with online,
Right.
or know from some group or something that you're in, is so amazing. I was in a group coaching program last year around this time. We were all therapists actually, and we still keep in touch. Some of them are in my group now. We did our own private Facebook group when our coaching was over, and have kept in touch. And it's really, and I don't think I've never met any of them in person,
Yeah.
but we have a huge, like, really solid connection. But then to meet up in person is just so, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
San Diego hugs, man. Those are good.
Oh my, all the hugs in San Diego.
I love
It's,
the hugging.
it's a lot. It's a
I love
lot.
the hugging. The
So,
awkward, long, lingering hugs.
yeah, with the deep breaths and the,
Yeah.
anyone from San Diego here, you can leave a comment below of the, with the long hugs accompanied by the light orgasmic moans of platonic pleasure.
We're from the Midwest. Platonic
Yeah,
pleasure.
right.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. But I
So
do want to, yeah, go ahead.
no, I want you to finish that because I was going to recap, but go ahead.
I just wanted to say, for anybody out there who's watching live and thinking and transitioning or thinking about it, um, two things I would say. One is, be really attached to your why, because my
Mm,
why has gotten me through. This is for another show, but this year for me has been nothing work related either, on a personal level, has been really, really tough. And so you got to, like, be attached to that why, and
mm-hmm.
also never give up. But those two are intrinsically related.
Mm. And
That has kept me going
yeah.
through some really
And
tough stuff.
And the thing is like when the monsters attack, that storm, that fog can create a block in your vision to where your why is not on the forefront of your mind. And then you start to wonder, like, why am I even doing this? Is this ever going to work? And that's the value of, managing your monsters, inviting them in, figuring out what they're trying to tell you, because maybe you're headed towards that why, but maybe you're a few degrees off. And that's the purpose of our pain, our frustration, our confusion, our overwhelm, is to make a call to our consciousness to make an adjustment to get back to that, your compass pointed due north towards your North Star. And yeah, so the why is really important. And a couple of things that you that you said that I kind of want to recap here is, one is the perfectionism. Like, take action quick, fail fast, fail early, and take action, see the result, analyze what happened, and then repeat. Take action, see the result, analyze what you need to do right, and then repeat. This is a game of course correction, not of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a huge takeaway that at least I had from what you said. And then invest in yourself, invest in mentors and in education, but make sure that it's aligned with you. It's got to be more than they just, oh well, they got the result that I'm looking for, so this is a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're moving out of the information age, because like before was like information was like knowledge was power, but it's not like that anymore, because knowledge is free now, because like
Mm-hmm.
everyone has access to
It's
Google.
everywhere. Yeah.
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 And now what is power is connections are power. Your
Yes.
relationships, your reputation, like who you are, like your values are power, and who you're connected to, which is why it's so important to be a part of Facebook groups that hold the same values that you do, Facebook groups that support you in a way that help you level up and stuff like that. So it's not just who's the most who's the most famous, who's got the biggest company. It's truly like who is aligned with your mission and your values the most, because that's where you're going to get the most benefit out of mentorship and the programs that you enter. And then finally, along those same lines, you're like, if you do it yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's quite possible that you can do it on your own, but if you want to collapse the timeline and you want to learn things without having to fail first, that's the value of a mentor. I'm coaching Erin. You saw her in our class on Monday,
Uh-huh.
and she's starting her first course teaching actors Shakespeare in order to unlock kind of like the it factor that people say you either have it or you don't. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
everybody has it, but it just has to be activated. Beautiful
Yeah, that's
message.
so cool.
Super
Yeah.
excited to work with her.
That's so awesome.
And I think to myself, how long did it take me to come up with my first course and get a powerful joint venture partnership? The answer is 6 years. It took me, right? And Erin enrolled with me. I think a couple weeks before me and you started working together. And she already has a program. She's recorded all 9 modules. She has the hierarchy of her coaching offer, and she has a joint venture partnership. And she did it in 2 months. And so
Wow.
that's what I'm talking about.
Good for her.
Collapsing the timeline. If
Yeah.
you want to figure it out yourself, that's what I did for so long. And I wondered why it took me so long to get to the level that I'm at. I'm thinking 20 years, I should be way farther ahead than I am now. I mean, we do well over here, but like not 20 years well. And it's, and it's really because like I didn't have I was always like the leader in the forefront of whatever we were doing. I started my first online program in 2003. I was doing virtual personal training like before Facebook even existed. And I
Pioneer
was,
you.
what's that?
You pioneer you.
Well, I do my best.
Seriously.
But I didn't have a group of mentors that were 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of me that when I got stuck, I could go to them, ask them like, what did you do? Or what have you suggested for your clients that you've seen that work? So then I can choose. So I've got options of things that I know work, because like the challenge that we have is no longer in scarcity. Like 100 years ago, the whole game was you win the scarcity game, you win life, right? It's not like that anymore. We have an opportunity management issue in today's day and age. There's so many options. How do I market myself?
Yes.
Do I network? Do I sponsor events? Do I do Facebook? Do I do LinkedIn? Do I do YouTube? Do I do AdWords? Do I do Facebook ads? And the answer is all of those work. We're like, oh, geez,
Yes.
well, what about a webinar? What about a VSL? What about, it's like, yeah, all of it works. And so we have this like bombardment of options that ends up paralyzing us. And so when you have good mentorship, and you have someone that your mentor that has the knowledge, has a good rapport with you, and they're passionate about your mission, that's really important as well. And that goes for, I know a lot of the people here are actors. If your manager or your agent isn't super passionate about the work that you want to do, then you're just another kind of headshot in their portfolio. But for someone who's going to go the extra mile, someone that's going to stand for you, those are the people that not only believe in you as a person, but they believe in like why you're here, what your mission is. And that's really important as well. I was just waiting for your
Totally.
response.
Oh, sorry. I'm just so like entranced by you.
I speak in a very hypnotic way. It is true.
Yes, you do. Yeah,
Awesome.
no, actually I was thinking about another thing that we can share some other time when in the beginning of our relationship, what happened, and you stepped up and you basically said to me, I'm taking a stand for you.
Yeah.
I'm like gonna like hunt you down.
I'm sure any other person that I have worked with or I'm working with, they're like, oh my gosh, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah.
Because after any time that I enroll someone into working together, I say, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Step one, you're gonna give me your credit card. We're gonna run your investments so you're committed. Step two, I'm gonna give you my Voxer link because in about 10 minutes after our call, you're gonna freak the fuck out and be like, oh my God, what did I do? Oh my God, what did I do? And there's always this chasm between the moment that you put your investment down, because like people say they're all in, but all in means all in. It means you're going to
Mhm.
show up. It means you're committed, and it means that you're financially committed as well. And so when you're all in, there's a moment between when you make the decision with the investment and your very first breakthrough. That is this like terrifying space where you're like, I invested so much and I'm not seeing anything right now.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And like, and what I had shared with you is like when we sign a coaching agreement together, that isn't for legal purposes. I don't give a shit about that. What that is like, yo, I'm committed. I'm committed to you. I'm committed to holding that vision when that fog comes, when the chaos comes, when the hurricane comes, or the confusion tornado, or whatever you should
Yeah. Yeah.
it happens. It's
Yeah.
like they're like and you're this like you're this ship in the ocean, and the oceans are just going crazy when your destination has a firm anchor and a solid line on it. Like the ship can be going all over the place, but as soon as the storm is done, you're going to continue to be pulled towards your vision. And that's what a good coach does, is
Yeah.
like standing for, standing in the heat, standing in the shit with your clients, because we all experience it.
Yeah.
And we all experience it. And when you have people that, like I said, genuinely love you and genuinely love and are excited about your mission and excited to be part of it, like that's the thing that gets you past those barriers that most people shrink in, and most people quit, or they go back to their job, or
Yeah.
they go back to the thing that's safe, only to start them back to square one. And then for a little while you feel okay about it, but then the itch starts coming. The voice
Yeah.
starts, a little tap on the shoulder, where the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, it's like, hey, you're supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be doing this. You're supposed to be doing this. And if you are really here for like a deep purpose, that voice is never going to go away.
Yeah. Exactly. It doesn't
Yeah.
go away. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I am so happy that you, graced us with your presence in our little group here, and I
Oh,
definitely look
thanks.
forward.
Thanks for having me.
Well, yeah, we look forward to having you, back again for sure. And yeah, I thought your insights on, some of the elements and mechanisms and mindsets to make that jump were just super spot on. And anyone watching here, if you're struggling with any of those particular areas, leave some comments, and me and Marianne can give you some support. And if you are a
Yeah, of
female
course.
entrepreneur feel that everyone seems to think that you have it all, but like, deep down there's some shit you got to deal with, and it just you keep going in that circle, join Marianne's group. There is no one more qualified that I know to support you in that, and fully being in your power, and still feeling like you are that superwoman even when you're in breakdown. And like I said, no one's better than Marianne at that.
Thank you.
So
And you can be both,
yeah. Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome.
I just
Oh,
wanted to say too what you said. Anybody, please feel free to reach out to me. Um, Spencer and I will be happy to answer any of your questions. I totally get it. I'm in this transition, and it really can be like that GIF that you, or GIF or whatever it's called.
I
I
say
call them
GIF.
GIFs.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
me
do
too.
too.
Okay. All
GIF
right.
feels weird, but
Yeah.
like free fall, and so please, I really mean it, that reach out to me. I know Spencer also will help, but I'm happy to have a chat with anybody who needs a little encouragement, or I'll help however I can.
Awesome. And I don't know if everyone knows this here, but I'm in a transition as well. So I started teaching precise language and identity imprinting. I did my first group coaching mastermind, I think like 3 years ago, and then my career as a dating and relationship coach. I built so much momentum from that like I got a ton of opportunities, and so I decided to dive in for another 2.5 years. So I kind of had one foot in this kind of alchemy healing modality of precise language and identity imprinting. And I had another foot in, helping men develop themselves to find their unicorn. And I believe it was after my second Costa Rica trip, I took my last client 8 months ago, but or my last few clients, and all of them were completed at the end of October. So I officially retired from the
Oh, wow. I
dating
didn't know that.
industry.
Well, I
Yeah.
knew that, but I didn't know like October. So are you like kind of jumping off the cliff too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
pretty exciting though.
It's like it's and the thing is that I've had a number of transitions in in my life of again, I went from fitness to sales to business development to dating relationships to coaching to and all that, and each one of those transitions are absolutely terrifying. And I went from the fitness industry to being a I was originally dubbed a dating, sex, and foreplay expert. And so
No, who dubbed you that?
trying to make that jump from already having a 10-year reputation in fitness to it's like, oh, I'm teaching sex and foreplay now. If I can do that, like, like I can do anything. But honestly, the
I
fear
didn't
of,
know that.
oh, Marianne, I have got some videos. Well, I guess I'll share it with everyone. You guys should all get to know me.
I got some videos.
For about 2 years, the main way that I made money was teaching seduction and foreplay to women. And so I would have 100 women in a room, and props, if you will. And most men, when it comes to like coaching, sexuality and stuff like that, they're looking to like be the best in bed. And most women, what my my angle of it was like, how do you have a love life that makes you the only one? Like, so he feels so connected to you that every other woman disappears in his mind. And so, yeah, for 2 years, that is, I did like sex and foreplay workshops. I was sponsored by Grey Goose. I went,
Really?
yeah, I had, so we did this, we ran them like super classy, like wedding receptions. So like they came into this original room. One sec. So they would come into like the first room, and I had an acoustic artist there. I had the guys that I was coaching, like serving all of the women. Everyone received a flower when they came in, and we had a flower sponsor, we had a chocolate sponsor, we had, and like I said, Grey Goose gave us six, Grey Goose gave us 50 bottles of Grey Goose for 100 women. And we had a mixologist come in making custom cocktails. And then when they went into the room, it was set up like a wedding reception, round table, flower centerpieces, like everyone's dressed up. Cause we had to make it classy or else,
Yeah.
And anytime that any woman like needed anything, there was a, one of the guys that I was coaching in a, button up black suit, black suit, black tie, and you just wave your flower, and like you wanted a snack, you wanted another drink, you wanted something else. And then like we would have an after party and stuff like that. But so I transitioned from the fitness industry to that. And then from that to, I'm a healer and an alchemist that can teach you how to, reach Christ consciousness by stepping into your darkness. And so, yeah, the jump is scary for sure. I understand it.
Wow. I'm like, I had no idea. That's so interesting.
And it's so funny, like because like, yeah, you didn't understand where under that context, but most
Yeah.
people that know me, like that's the primary lens of which they see me.
That's
So
the way they know you.
when you
Yeah.
hear someone call me Spency B, that's that character that that they're referring to is that version. But like I said, I've got and I had like a production crew like video this whole thing, so I literally have videos of this. I'll have to I don't know if I'm ready to show that to like the Facebook audience yet, but I'll send you a link.
A full life wears many hats, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got the life story of a 60-year-old man. Only 36.
That's awesome.
Cool. All right.
Thank you
Well,
so much.
yeah, well, it was awesome as always, just like our other live we did the other day. This was a fantastic conversation. I hope all of you got a lot out of it. And if you need some support, just speak up, reach out. It's the first rule of precise language. Speak up, or else it just
Absolutely.
festers inside. So,
Absolutely.
all right, Marianne, I'm sure we will talk soon.
Thanks,
And
Spencer.
it was great talking to you today.
You too. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Bye.
Bye.